A new school semester has begun. If you're like me, you're starting to go back and reevaluate the things that you are doing in your classroom. We want to be as productive as possible, and we also want to make sure that we are working effectively. One of the ways we're going to do that is by making sure we have a clutter-free classroom. Confession, clutter drives me nuts. I have it often, but I don't like it, and I learned I function better when my room is not cluttered and I can easily find the things that I need. Everything has a place. And so today we're going to talk about how we can declutter our classroom. Hi, I'm LaWanda Shields with Two Key Classrooms, and here on my channel, we talk about the things that can help us as teachers, veteran teachers, and new teachers begin and have a successful school year. So let's get right into this, talking about ways we can declutter our classroom and have a fresh start this year. Let's talk about the reasons it's important to make sure our rooms are not cluttered. One of the things we need to ensure is that we are being productive, because it's easier to find things and our materials when we are living in a state of clutter. Our classroom is cluttered. It's harder to find stuff. It's harder to get started. It sort of gives you the feel of being disorganized because you can't easily find your stuff. Having a clutter-free room also encourages our students to take responsibility and ownership of their classroom. We all want to be in a room that's neat and nice and pretty looking. And so by ensuring that our room is decluttered, we can do that. It also helps me and most other teachers feel like they are in control and that they are less overwhelmed. When you're looking at piles and piles of paper on your desk, it's harder to function. Well, I know it is for me. So we want to make sure that we get that clutter off of our desk. So how can we tackle clutter? First, we're going to assess our situation in our class. We're going to look at it, and then we're going to sort and purge. Sort of like we would do at our houses. We're going to stop, look and see what we need and what we don't need and get rid of it. I had a boss who was a stickler for decluttering. Twice a year, she wanted us to declutter our classroom, and she made it mandatory. We had to declutter before we left for Christmas. We had to declutter before spring break, and then, I guess you could call it 3 times. When we got out for the year, we had to go in that room and clean it out. So, and she would come by and check to make sure that our rooms were clean. So clutter was a thing with her, and she had a point. When our rooms are cluttered, we don't work as well as we would. Before we go any further with this video, if you have not already, please give this video a like, a thumbs up, and that you subscribe so I continue to give you more teaching tips and hacks. And I will see you back in the video. Said our students live in chaos, and we owe it to them to provide them with a clutter-free room, somewhere where they can feel safe and where it is organized. So we're going to make sure that we go through and touch. I can't remember the show I was watching, but it talked about it. Make sure you touch everything with love and decide where you want to put it or what you need to do with it. And so let's go ahead and touch those items with love. I know we have those books and things we like to hold on for years and years to come, because I'm guilty myself. But let's go ahead and touch those things with love and decide if we need to keep them, if we need to purge them, if we need to give. One of the first things we need to focus on as teachers when we're tackling that clutter is to focus on those piles of paper. Let's look at those piles and piles of paper we have stacked up on our desks or stacked on the table somewhere in our classroom. Go through those papers and decide whether you need to keep them or whether you need to remove them. Make sure you keep documents that are important or documentation that you need to keep for parents. But anything else, we need to decide whether we can keep it or we can release it to our trash cans. We also want to look at those supplies we have that are maybe unused. Maybe you had some paper from 2 or 3 years ago that some of your former students left. Decide if you need that paper. If not, again, touch it, remove it, give it away, do something. And a key part of decluttering is to make sure that we have created systems, that we have a system in place for handling those piles of paper, for dealing with all the excessive stuff. Make sure you have a system for filing. Make sure you have binders or bins in which you can put all this stuff. And now we are moving away from a lot of the paper towards digital storage. See if it's something that you can convert from paper to something that's digital, where you can put it up and where it can be stored. Our desk. I always had a desk that was cluttered. I would look at my friend's desk. She was a librarian. I would go in every evening. I said, girl, your desk is so clean. And it would be brand spanking clean. It would be just so perfect. And I'm like, but how? Because as you go through her room throughout the day, it would be books everywhere and stuff. But by the end of the day, That room was spotless. Her desk was clean. And I said, girl, how do you do this? She said she has what I call, I'm not going to call her name, her method, but she would go through it. She said, I just sweep everything into a little thing, a bin, and then I go through and I check it real quick. She said, I don't spend a lot of time on it, and I move on. That ensures that when she comes in the next day, her classroom, her library is neat, clean, and ready to go. And so we can't leave all those piles of paper on our desk. We have to deal with them. And I'm going to say this. Hey, don't take that paper home. Don't take it home. Don't grade anything at your house. Your home time is your sacred time. And even when we're decluttering, we cannot take that stuff home. You'll never get finished with it. And you owe it to yourself to give your family your time and for you to be the best you that you can be. We also need to maximize our drawer spaces with our desks or wherever we have drawers. If you don't have drawers, you might want to purchase some filing system or some cabinets somewhere where you can put all of this stuff and make sure that it is clean. Your top drawer, your main drawer, is where you should keep items that you use every day. Your middle drawer or the next spot, your next place that you visit often, are the things that you use not quite every day, but close to every day. In the bottom drawer, these are bulk items or things that you could just pile in and not touch at another time. Okay, when you're doing your file cabinet, you want to make sure that everything's labeled and organized. And we want to try to be budget friendly. So we're going to make sure we utilize every little single thing we have, even if it's shoe boxes or plastic bins. I'm a plastic bin girl myself. I like to get that plastic bin, put a label on, and then I know where everything is. But make sure that we freshen up our bulletin boards. Bulletin boards are a big thing, especially if you teach middle school and elementary. So let's make sure we have our supplies for our bulletin board labeled and put in a place where we can easily find them and label. As we go into a new semester, you might want to add some plants to help liven up the place, to make it feel a little more homey. Because let's be real, we spend a huge majority of our time in our classroom. I read an article that talked about teachers who transform the classroom into looking like a mini house, you know, like their living room or something. And some people getting a lot of slack from it. Hey, we spend a large majority of our time in our classroom, and I feel like they should be personalized according to each of us. So do what makes you feel good. Let's make sure we also look at our items if they are seasonal items and put them in the proper place. So we want to make sure our spring items are in a place for spring items and our winter items are in a place for winter items. But either way, we want to start this new year off right. We want to be productive. We want to make sure that we are decluttering our classroom and making it a wonderful, inviting place for our new year. So let's get that done, guys. I know this was a lot. And if you want more information on it, be sure to head on over to my blog where you can read all about decluttering and productivity for the new school year. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, this is LaWanda Shields with 2Q Classroom. I'll see you guys in the next video.